probably take place tomorrow. Let's talk about another issue, because one subject that has certainly unified pretty well all the candidates, I haven't heard from all of them specifically on this issue, but that is over a second Scottish independence referendum. They're all against it happening, certainly within 10 years or the next generation. Let's just have a look at this tweet from Philip Sim, BBC Scotland reporter. UK government has today lodged its initial response to ScotGov's Indy Ref 2 case at the Supreme Court. It confirms the Advocate General for Scotland will be a formal party to the case, and that he's asking the court to consider whether it should accept the Lord Advocate's referral. Well, let's talk to Dr. Philippa Whitford, SNP MP. Welcome to you. What do you say to that?
Well, obviously, the Lord Advocate from Scotland has referred it, and we will await whether the Supreme Court accepts it.
Right. What was the Lord Advocate's advice,
though? It's important to work through this,
right, go on,
so that it isn't left to just a private case to disrupt it. But it's wrong that Scotland, who has voted SNP wins in 8 out of 8 elections to express its wish to reconsider the vote of 2014, is left with nowhere democratic to go. Right,
but as you've heard me say, and you'll have heard from all of the candidates, I can just show you this on the front page of the Scottish Daily Mail. I'll batter down SNP's yellow wall. That's Penny Mordaunt putting the UK's future at heart of her number 10 bid. But all of them are saying no to a second independence referendum. What's your message?
Well, I think it's just anti-democratic, and unfortunately we get the same from Keir Starmer, which is very disappointing. The only legal gap in writing in UK legislation between referenda on a constitutional issue is in the Good Friday Agreement, and is 7 years. We're asking, because the UK that people voted to stay in 2014 is utterly changed by Brexit and everything that has happened since then, we're asking for a vote at 9 years. And I think that if they're not afraid of the argument, if they think that no is going to win again, why are they afraid to debate the issue?
Why are you afraid, Tim? It's going to be a legal case.
If anything is undemocratic, it is to say that because you didn't like the result 7, 8 years ago, then you're going to do it again. It was absolutely billed back in 2014 by Nicola Sturgeon and Philippa and all her colleagues. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Generations last for more than 8 years in this country, and with everything else that is going on at the moment, with the cost of living crisis which is being handled particularly badly in Scotland, with the crisis in the Scottish education system and health outcomes, spending £20 million and indulging in this complete sideshow of yet another referendum on independence, that the opinion polls show that even those who want independence don't want a referendum at this stage, is a complete and utter joke. And I think Philippa knows that as one of the more sensible SNP members here.
Oh, well, lucky you, Philippa. Philippa.
You know, this claim about the NHS and education is just complete nonsense. And if you would actually look at things like A&E waiting times, cancer waiting times, any of the data on closing the education gap, he would see that actually Scotland is outperforming England and the rest of the UK.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on, that's a very bold claim to make, Philippa, and we don't have the data here. But in terms of some of the health data, Nicola Sturgeon herself has had to apologise for some of the waiting time lists in Parliament, and she has continually said that they need to improve.
Of course they do.
Right.
All 4 health services...
Because you've missed your own targets.
Hang on, Jo. All 4 health services have faced an absolute crisis with COVID.
Well, I know,
We're in the middle of another wave, and you're referring to weekly data which Scotland puts out, which England doesn't anymore. But if you look at the performance over the last 7 years, the A&E waiting times in Scotland have been 10% or higher better than England, almost much higher than Wales or Northern Ireland, for 7 years. So argue about independence, but don't argue on the performance of the NHS, because if you bother to look, or anyone bothers to look at the data, they'll see it's different.
Right.
And to refer to the cost of living crisis, the Scottish Government doesn't have the levers to fix that. This is why it's actually urgent that we get a chance to change the kind of economy we have coming out of COVID, so that we have a fairer, greener, more sustainable economy, because we all know we need to be somewhere different by the end of this decade, or we will burn the planet.
If the court rules that it isn't legal to hold that referendum, what will you do?
Well, the First Minister has been quite clear that we will use the next election, whether that's a general election or a Scottish election, so that people in Scotland can at least express their wish. And that is something that politicians here, no politician has the right to say that Scotland should be locked in a cupboard with no view on the future. And when Tim says, oh, you go on having votes, is he suggesting the Labour Party should disappear? Is he suggesting that during the Blair years, the Tory party should have given up? People vote for what they believe, and democracy is not a single event. But the biggest thing is the UK people voted to stay in just simply doesn't exist anymore.
Well, Tim, it's a pretty passionate claim, not just around democracy, but that you just cannot keep denying the SNP, the government there, the right to ask again.
Referendums are used very sparingly in this country.
But things have changed,
for
haven't they?
major constitutional matters, be it on Brexit, be it on devolution for parts of the United Kingdom. Having another referendum after a very conclusive result 8 years ago in 2014 is not a priority for the Scottish people, as the opinion polls show, even for those people who actually may favour independence. How many times are we going to have it? Are we going to have best of three if we get another no, if there is another one? There are other bigger issues to be getting on with.
All right. Philippa Whitford, thank you very much for joining us. Just before we move on to